from the junkyard. And yeah, I'm doing a burnout. You might be wondering what I mean by saving this pristine looking Foxbody from the junkyard. I assure you that it did not always look like this. In this video, I'm going to show you how I took this formerly $5,000 Foxbody and transformed it into this $50,000 Foxbody. And everybody knows that every penny you put into modifications you get right back when you sell it, right? And this video is going to be filled with many thanks to friends, family, businesses, companies that helped me along the way. I could have stretched this out to a 50-part series because it took me 2 years to get to this state, but I wanted to make one whole video from start to finish. Now for some context. I bought this 1987 Ford Mustang GT for a cheap car challenge series back in 2020 to celebrate us getting 1 million subscribers. If you missed the series, the goal was to buy any car for under 5,000 Canadian dollars and put them up against each other in a series of challenges where one would be declared the winner. Yuri bought a Honda Civic, which fortunately or unfortunately had to be put out of its misery, depending on who you are, because it had too much rust. This is the survivor of the series. However, I bought this for exactly $5,000 and needed a ton of work, had a lot of rust, questionable modifications, over 10 previous owners, including a mileage rollback, leaks from every possible gasket and seal, and most importantly, an incredible paint job. And I've corrected that now with this paint job. After spending a bit more money on general maintenance, this is where Ben at Dixie Blue Service comes in. He was the one that actually came out with me to check out this car, make sure everything was good. Yuri was there too, but I had my trust in Ben whether I should actually buy this. But a big shout out to Ben for making sure that this thing was actually going to be roadworthy. The only performance modifications that both cars got were valved exhausts from Hot Rod Scott's, and that is still the exhaust that I'm running on this car today. I love it. Sleeper mode, loud mode, whatever you want. It's perfect.
Good to go!
So after it was declared the winner of the cheap car challenge, I accidentally fell in love with it. I assure you it was a lot harder to fall in love with it before it looked like this, but somehow I did. Now this is where it needed a lot of love. This is where a lot more companies, partners, friends, and family come in. As much as I loved the paint job, I decided to get the bodywork done first. Carstar Eglinton and Carstar Scarborough Northeast stepped up to the plate to tackle all of the rust, trim, and paint restoration. They did so much work to fix this thing up properly. This isn't just lipstick on a pig. Any rust that was repaired with new sheet metal and not just body filler. The doors were so far gone that they ended up just replacing them. I can't thank Mustafa from Carstar enough. He is basically the only reason that I decided to keep this. It was so far gone that I was kind of almost willing to scrap it or just sell it for basically what I paid. So thank you. The hardest decision I had to make was what color they were going to paint it. Since I already had a 2010 Ford Raptor in molten orange tri-coat metallic, I felt like it was perfect and unique enough for the Foxbody. I think it was Ben or Yuri who actually came up with the idea to paint this molten orange, or they just encouraged me to do it. I actually forget, it was so long ago. So Yuri or Ben, leave a comment, tell me how the actual story went if you remember. But it's a perfect color and they did an amazing job. And Mustafa also sourced and provided these stock seats because I hated those unsafe tuned by matrix seats. And these are so comfortable. All the features work. You just plug them back in and now I have power lumbar. I think I can say that this is one of one in the world. Like, one of one. I'm gonna call it right now. And then I also ended up buying a Fiesta ST in the same color, also by accident. I don't know how that happened. It's probably for sale at the time of this video, or I already sold it. While I was at the body shop, I was beginning to stockpile parts for the mechanical overhaul it was gonna receive. Summit Racing provided the majority of the engine parts, which basically amounted to a TrickFlow track heat top end kit with some customizations like a Ford Racing E303 cam, Blueprint Muscle Series heads, Summit Racing aluminum rad, electric fan, engine mounts, transmission mounts, the list goes on. There's obviously a lot of parts required for a build, so every part that I used will be linked in the description below if you do want to replicate this build. At this point, I needed an ECU to be able to dyno tune the engine later, so Holley provided the Terminator X plug-and-play ECU and digital dash, among many other things like Flowtech long tube headers, a Hurst shifter, Hurst line lock, it looks so perfect in there. It's so easy to do burnouts now. It's kind of why I actually built the car, just for burnouts and fun stuff. Once all the body work was done, it was off to NV Auto for all the mechanical work. Now the mechanical work took several months because we had to buy more parts. We had to work through some world-ending delays. Pro tip, if you're ever going to build a car, try not to do it during the next pandemic. All right, so NV Auto doesn't know this yet, but there's a lot more broken things that I haven't told them about yet. That doesn't work. Ideally, that would work. That doesn't work. That is weird. That belongs to, I don't know, some old kind of alarm that this probably has, because there's questionable wires that dangle and hit my feet. I don't know what that's for. There's a random sub cable, and that sub cable actually runs through there, and that's not attached to anything in the trunk. That doesn't work. Those don't work. Two of those only work. I think it's only the left two, and then those don't work. Only two of those work, the outside ones. And the speedometer doesn't work because it's the wrong speed, because this has gears. That doesn't work because the fog lights aren't actually hooked up because there was no wiring. That doesn't work. I don't know if they're gonna fix all this stuff, because I kind of also don't really care, but at least I'm getting a whole new engine. So this is where I need to thank Dov and Nam from NV Auto for their patience on this build. While the engine was out, it was a great chance to clean and paint the engine bay since the car was originally burgundy. The performance gains from the Summit Racing parts came not only from improved airflow and fueling, but a massive reduction in weight from the cast iron parts being replaced with aluminum. I then took it upon myself to buy some welded Draglite wheels from Summit Racing for that classic can't go wrong look. As you know, Continental is a sponsor of ours, so you might be wondering, Jacob, why are you running Hoosiers? Continental owns Hoosier. Continental and Hoosier teamed up to actually develop the Continental Extreme Contact Force tire, which I now have on my Fiesta, and I'll probably be running on future cars. And I might even run it on this with some 17-inch or 18-inch wheels in the future. We'll see. I really do love this classic look though. Now I am running the Hoosier Pro Street tires. They're a full radial. They are not a drag radial. They're actually not meant to be taken to the drag strip. Hoosier also has slicks, but I did take this car to the track on these tires, and they actually performed really, really well. In terms of timeline for everything I've explained so far, I dropped the car off to Carstar in fall of 2020. I picked it up in spring of 2021.
Oh, no way. Yo, say it just like my Raptor.
Just like my Raptor.
Wow.
Hey, it's orange, it's not red.
That is unreal.
I drove it straight to NV Auto. I picked it up in just before winter of 2021, and there was still a lot more work to do, but I was fighting against the snow falling. Now, because the Holley Terminator X ECU has self-learning, yeah, that's right, wardrobe change, it works so well, I was able to drive it straight from NV Auto with no tuning all the way to Joe D'Souza at D'Souza Performance. He is a Holley god. He can tune anything on the Holley system and probably some other stuff. He is a god tier mechanic, and he knows his fast forwards. So Joe helped me out so much, so a big thank you to Joe for finessing this and making sure everything works seamlessly. Holley also provided the digital dash, which plugs into the Terminator X ECU, and I was able to try out the 6.86 digital dash as well as the 12.3, and once I tried the bigger dash, there was no going back. The dash is one of my favorite parts of this build because of how customizable it is. I designed my own Lexus LFA inspired center tack with some graphic help from Yuri. The shift lights are fantastic, and that's basically all I use to shift. It gets so much attention when I bring it out to car shows and Cars and Coffee. Now we're in December 2021. This is the final stop before the snow started to fall. Actually, I think it fell maybe once or twice, and I had to drive it, unfortunately, very carefully. I had to drive it to Adrena Garage for the suspension. Now, they had to install the Maximum Motorsports provided suspension parts, and the JRP provided Bilstein struts and springs. Thank you to the guys at Adrena Garage. They were very patient with this. As you can imagine, there's a lot of rust. Some of the components from here look like they had been sitting at the bottom of the ocean since 1987, so they had to fight through all that, but they made it through, and they did an amazing job. They did the full install as well as the alignment and all the adjustments, so I need to thank them. I need to thank Chuck at Maximum Motorsports. His company did an amazing job designing so many parts for this platform, so if you have a Mustang, hit up Maximum Motorsports. As well as Phil from JRP, thank you for providing the Bilstein struts and springs. This thing has never ridden better. It's never looked better. The stance on it is perfect. It's lowered just enough. I love driving this thing so much. All the squeaks and rattles are gone. Well, there's still some, but they're not suspension related. They're the windows and the trim and all the interior stuff that I still haven't really addressed. So I barely made it before the snow fell and the roads were covered in salt, stored it away for the winter, and now spring 2022. I had to take it back to Joe at D'Souza Performance to get the dyno tuning done. Now Joe has a Mustang dyno. No, it's not a Ford Mustang dyno. He dynos Mustangs on a Mustang dyno. Anyways, it's a realistic type of dyno that gives you real non-inflated numbers to the wheels. So we, after several passes, made 295 horsepower and 305 pound-feet of torque to the rear wheels. Now this is on 91 octane, and I'm really happy with these numbers. If you take that to crank horsepower, like cars are advertised these days, like a Hellcat with 797 horsepower, it actually has less to the wheels. That's the equivalent of about 350 to maybe 375 horsepower, which is really good considering the car weighs around 3,000, maybe 3,100 pounds. I'm very happy with those numbers on 91 octane. So after 2 years from the time that I bought this car, it was finally time to take it back to Toronto Motorsports Park. Do a fun couple laps around the road course, nothing serious because now I have skinnies in the front. This is kind of now a drag setup. Do a bunch of quarter-mile runs, do a bunch of burnouts, do a bunch of donuts, just have fun with the car, enjoy why I built it. While we were at the drag strip, Yuri wanted to race me in his Plymouth Prowler. Yeah, that's right, his minivan engine pizza car. Now, he wanted the most unfair race possible because he knew he didn't stand a chance, so it had to be the first race where I hadn't driven this car in 2 years. So we had the race, and here's what happened. So now you can see why I reacted the way that I did after I won the race, because it was so unfair that I was just happy to beat him. Yuri, I love you. Don't worry about it. Now was the time for Yuri to actually drive this car for the first time after all of the modifications. All the new changes, let me know how different it feels, Yuri.
So far, so good.
Floor it! Is it a race car now?
This is a race car. I love the gauge cluster.
The gauge cluster, bro. Like, look at the shift lights.
That sound is good. A little too loud, but I understand the channel is called TheStraightPipes.
Hey, hey, hey. Quiet it down. Sleeper mode.
There we go. There we go.
No. Always open.
Shifter is awesome. The steering even feels better. You did suspension work, right?
I did suspension, I did steering, I've addressed bushings, I've done like everything almost.
I love the graphic design on the gauge cluster. That ring is amazing, very Lexus inspired.
Thank you, I designed that with your help, my little cluster there.
What's this?
This is the Terminator X. This is my standalone ECU, which is actually underneath me. So that's what's powering the whole car right now.
Where'd the radio go?
I deleted it because it never worked.
Boo!
This is for my line lock right here. You can press it because you're not on the brakes, so it won't do anything.
Very cool.
Yeah, and this is two-step.
Okay, and then why is this still purple?
I wanted to de-purplize this once I got the headliner, but the headliner's not here yet.
Okay, I like it. I like this. It's like throwback to the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave one more.
real crackles.
Good job, sponsors. These products are amazing.
And he loved it, as everybody does. He's the only other person that's driven this car after the modifications, and it's just a blast to drive. Now on a cold spring night, it was like 10 degrees that night, I managed a 13.1 at 106. I was really happy with that considering the conditions, first time driving the car, basically initial shakedown. The car ran flawlessly, no problems, no overheating, no leaks, nothing. It was perfect. I was so happy. I was able to drive it there and I was able to drive it home. Now, I wasn't really done at 13.1. Even though I was happy with it, I really wanted to see if I could hit 12. To me, in my head, if it's a 12-second car, it's fast. So I went back to the racetrack. Now, we hosted a big subscriber meetup where we rented the jet truck, we had a fantastic time, and this is where I got to run Yuri again. First run, my best time.
Jakub and Yuri. Let's see here, I think the Mustang, yeah, 1282 to the 1492.
I think so. Really?
I think so.
12.8.
Yes! Yes, first run.
Good job, man.
Thank you. 1.8. Yes, 12.8. Oh my goodness. 12.8. 12.8 with a 1.8 60 foot. That hooked up at 108. Holy crap. Yes. First run of the night. I can go home. Oh my goodness. Yes. 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 As you can see, I was ecstatic to run a 12.8 at 108, and that mile per hour says that this should be about a mid-low 12-second car. Now, I was granny shifting, I was not power shifting. You can make fun of me in the comments, but I'm just trying to save this T5 transmission. It is stock, questionable mileage, and I like to drive this on the street primarily. I might go back to the track later, we'll see. Now, the only changes that I did from the 13.1 to the 12.8 was that I got a lightweight battery from Raptor Racing. Shout out George at Raptor Racing for having this in stock, so I was able to buy it. It's an anti-gravity battery and it works really well, nice lightweight. And then I disconnected the front sway bar because my personal goal for this was to be able to lift the front wheels. And maybe if you got it from a different angle from the video, maybe the front wheels lifted, but it's close enough for me that it almost looks like the wheels lift. Like, to me, that's the coolest thing ever. Now, I've developed a bit of a problem through this build and taking it to the drag strip is I constantly want to shave some time off my quarter mile. Now I'm thinking if I get some Hoosier drag radials for the back, swap them out at the track, maybe I can get into the high 11s. Or maybe I use these tires so I can still drive it on the street and maybe get a good old NOS bottle on the back and make that speed up on the top end. I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place now because there's so many options for this car. Now the best part of this build is that I can drive this whenever I want. There's no problems with it. It looks amazing. The paint is perfect. I love driving this to car shows. People love hearing and seeing it. I finally own a V8 with a lumpy cammed idle that sounds like a friggin' NASCAR. It's my dream come true. So I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me to do this build. All the companies, all the people, all the patience of everyone I can't say enough thank yous to everyone in this video. So after 2 long years of building this car, I've never had an extensive project like this. No, I didn't turn all the wrenches myself. You can make fun of me in the comments, but I have to film car reviews, that's my job. So thank you for watching the car reviews on the Straight Pipes. Now, since this is a project car, it's never actually done. I did order a couple more parts about 6 or 7 months ago, like a headliner that is still missing. Not sure where that is. Hopefully I get it eventually. Now I'm sure you're wondering how I got to the $50,000 total. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't actually total everything up. I kind of don't want to. For one reason, my wife's probably gonna watch this video, and second reason, Yuri's gonna watch this video, and he approved or paid for 50% of everything on this because we co-own the Straight Pipes. Thank you, Yuri. And thank you everyone for your patience, my wife and Yuri. I'm gonna give you the ballpark though. So it's about $5,000 for the car, plus a little bit of miscellaneous stuff. So maybe we're at like $7,500, plus $15,000 for all the body work, plus the wheels and tires, plus like $10,000 for all the engine components and all the Holley systems. So at the end of the day, we're probably sitting at about $45,000 to $50,000 with all the labor that we also had to pay for. Now, could you replicate this build for less than $40,000 or $50,000? Of course you could, absolutely. But you better know what the hell you're doing. You better know your body work, your mechanical work, your paint work, your suspension work, everything. There's so many things that go on in a build. I left that to the experts, and I'm happy that I did because at the end of the day, I have a car that works just like the way I want it. Now we do have another build, so I'd like you to subscribe and hit the notification bell because this car we bought a couple months ago, it's a top secret project, and I assure you, it will not take 2 years. It's gonna be very cool and it's gonna be a lot faster than this. So thank you to everyone for watching, and thank you again to everyone that I already thanked in this video.